Again, repeating, I have to solve this, and we have to solve, and we have to find the value of this composition, the sine of the arctangent of 3/4. So the first thing I have to do is draw a right triangle. And then I put the angle. So I want to find for this triangle sine of theta. Now, I want to match these two expressions, sine of the arctangent. So sine with sine, so there is no way out. Theta has to be the arctangent of 3/4. So the angle is the arctangent of 3/4. Now, I'm going to use the inverse of the arctangent. So I'm going to take tangent of theta equals tangent of the arctangent 3/4. Correct? Now, these two cancels. So the tangent of theta, the tangent of this angle in this triangle is going to be 3/4. Okay. Now, something that I'm going to remember is this. The tangent is the ratio of the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. If this is true, then the adjacent length is 4 and the adjacent of the opposite side is 3. So I'm going to write those numbers right here, 3 and 4. You see that? So these two numbers that are here in this parenthesis are going to give me the length of the sides of this triangle I'm drawing here, thinking that the tangent of the angle is equal to these two numbers. So this is what I have. Now, by Pythagorean theorem, remember? Middle school math. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. That's the Pythagorean theorem. This is A, this is B. So 4 squared plus 3 squared equals, well, this is 3, 4, 5 squared. So my hypotenuse is 5, correct? Or the hypotenuse is the square root of 4 squared plus 3 squared. It's the same thing. This is 5, is this one, right? So I know the size of my triangle. Now, once I know the length of the triangle, so all these ones, what I'm going to do is very simple. I'm going to take the sine of the angle. What's the sine of the angle? Okay, the sine of this angle is opposite over hypotenuse. Now, what is the opposite? Okay, the opposite is 3. How much is the hypotenuse? The hypotenuse is 5. Okay, so sine of this angle is 3 over 5. Now, I'm going to set back this expression I get at the beginning. So sine of arc tangent of 3/4 is 3 over 5. That is going to be the answer of the problem. Okay, now check what I did again. I received this composition of functions and I have to find the value this composition has. Then I remember that this is the trigonometric ratio, so I'm going to draw a right triangle. I draw this right triangle, and then I'm going to find sine of the angle. Is what I have to find here. Then I match these two expressions, sine with sine, so the angle is the arctangent, is what I did here, arctangent of 3/4. Then I use the inverse of arctangent. I put tangent here and tangent here. These two cancels, and I find the tangent is 3/4. By definition of the trigonometric functions, tangent of the angle is opposite over adjacent. Okay. If the opposite is 3 and the adjacent is 4, I'm going to label these triangles here with these two sides, and then I find the hypotenuse using the Pythagorean theorem. I found all the lengths of the sides of my triangle, and then I find sine. Sine is opposite hypotenuse, so it's 3 over 5. Then the problem I have to solve is sine of the arctangent 3/4 is 3 over 5. Okay, so everybody catch the idea? So it's not very difficult. It's just right triangle trigonometry. Let me just solve another one. So let me just, in the same paper, this is the paper, right? Yeah, the assignment. Let me just find, okay, the secant of the arc sine of 3 over 5, correct? So this is the function I have to evaluate. Okay, remember, step number 1, draw a right triangle, right? Identify the right angle and your angle theta. Now, you read this one, you cover this one, like this, you need to find secant of the angle. So you're right, secant of the angle, correct? Now, you are going to match these two, secant with secant, so the angle is this one, right? So theta is the arc sine of 4/5. 4/5. Let me just put this over here. 4/5, correct? Okay, now I'm going to take the inverse of this relationship. So sine of the angle is the sine of the arc sine of 4/5. These two cancel, and then I have sine of the angle is 4/5. Okay, now, by definition, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, correct? So the length of the opposite is 4. The length of the hypotenuse is 5, correct? Now, using Pythagorean theorem, c squared equals a squared plus b squared, I know that 5 squared equals a squared plus 4 squared. So I use the Pythagorean theorem, so I'm missing this side. Okay, so a squared is 5 squared minus 4 squared. A is the square root of 55 minus 16, 9, and the square root of 9 is 3. So I put a 3 here, okay? Now I know the sides of my triangle, so I'm able to find the secant. Secant of the angle is, okay, what is the definition of secant? The definition of secant is hypotenuse over adjacent, correct? So if I check my triangle, the hypotenuse is 5, the adjacent is 3, correct? So the secant of this angle is 5/3. Then my problem, secant of arc sine of 4/5 is 5/3. Okay? So what we have to use here? Trigonometric ratios. The idea that we have inverse functions of the trigonometric functions, Pythagorean theorem, and we solve the problem. So it's not very difficult to find. Okay, let me just submit one more. Okay? So it's not very difficult. It's very easy.
Very easy. I can see it's very easy. Oh, es fácil.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. You must know the trigonometric ratios. Sine is opposite hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent hypotenuse. So you must find a way to remember that. The only thing you have to do now is, in a right triangle, you have to identify who's whom. Is what I do. I draw a right triangle, and then I find the secant. You see, this is the secant. I have to find the secant of an angle. So secant of the angle here. Well, I don't know. But let me just match this one. The angle is this expression right here. And if you have a sine, the sine of that angle is the number here in the parentheses, right here. Then with that ratio, you determine the length of the sides. Then with those sides and the Pythagorean theorem, you determine the missing side. Once you have the 3 sides, you get the ratio you need using the definition, and then you find the solution. So it's not a big deal, okay? So these problems are not very difficult. Let me just do another one. So I'm going to use problem number 3 in this assignment. You see problem number 3? Okay. So I'm going to write cosine of the arctangent of 2. Okay. So I need to find how much is this composition. So again, step number 1, you draw your right triangle and your angle, theta. Okay, now I need to find the cosine. Okay, cosine of theta, correct? That's what I have to find, cosine of theta. Okay, now, who's theta? Okay, if this is cosine and this is cosine, theta has to be this one, arctangent of 2. Okay, now, if I use the inverse, tangent of theta is 2. Okay, now, what is the definition of the tangent? Is opposite over adjacent. Okay. The problem I have here, I have just one number. This is a fraction. Okay. I'm going to put a fraction. 2 is 2 over 1, correct? 2 over 1. Okay. So the opposite is 2, the adjacent is 1. So I'm going to put those numbers in my triangle. Opposite is 2, adjacent is 1. Okay. 2 and 1. Correct? Okay. Now, what is the hypotenuse? Okay. C squared equals A squared plus B squared. This is 1 squared plus 2 squared. This is 1 plus 4. C squared is 5. C is the square root of 5. Correct? Pythagorean theorem, middle school math. The square root of 5. Okay? Now, once I have my triangle, I'm going to find cosine. Cosine of theta is, definition of cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse. Correct? So, the adjacent is 1. The hypotenuse is the square root of 5. So, this is my answer. Cosine of the arctangent of 2 is 1 over square root of 5. Yes, you can do this, but this is correct. You can do the rationalization of the denominator, but this is correct. Okay? So everybody catch the idea?
Maestro,
Okay.
maestro,
Yeps.
¿cómo le haremos para entregar el trabajo?
Okay. You are going to download or copy, I don't know what you can do. This assignment, let me show you. This assignment is, let me just see my Google Classroom right here. Okay. Let me just share again the screen. I'm going to share the screen. Okay. Right here. Here is the Google Classroom for pre-calculus pre-AP, right? And here you can see the homework. Here is the assignment we are solving here with you. Here is the homework. So you can download this one. Tell me if you have trouble, I can change this by PDF. Sometimes the words are not fine, so I can do the PDF. But here is the assignment, correct? Okay, now, from this one, you have to solve really some 4 pages, right? Today I'm going to do numbers, tomorrow I'm going to do variables, and then I expected this one for Saturday. Take pictures of this and upload it into Google Drive. Then you share with me, okay? M. Ramirez 2, GP Apps, Galina Parayas, the same address I gave you before. So pictures and then upload, okay? We have, and you must have 1 grade for this week, okay? 1 grade. So this is the grade you're going to have for this week.
Mr. Ramirez.
Yes, sir.
Can I go to Mr. Molina's Zoom? Because we already did all of it. Me and Danny.
I am recording.
Hey, what's up, baby?
Okay, I'm recording this. So you can go to the YouTube channel and check the next problems, okay?
Okay.
No problem. You can just quit at the main moment you want.
Mr.
Okay.
Ramirez.
Take care. Tomorrow at the same time, 1:30.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Ramirez.
Okay? More
Mr.
questions?
Ramirez.
Yes, sir.
¿Puedo ir al baño?
Of course. Okay. Okay. Let me just do another one with negative numbers now. Okay. I'm going to do, let me see this one. Share. This one right here. So I have this one. You see?
Grab this.
Now
Okay.
with negative numbers. This is going to be tough. Okay? Negative numbers. Okay. Let's just write down that one.
You lost all your. It only has like.
16.
Of our tangent of negative 3 over 5. Okay?
Look, like this, look. No,
Admit.
look.
Okay.
I got you. I got you.
Okay. This is the problem we're going to solve. Ready? The secant of the arctangent now of negative 3 over 5. This is, oops. Well, don't panic. This is going to be easy. You have done negative legs and negative ratios. Okay, again, I begin with my triangle. Again, angle, right? And then I have to determine the secant of theta, correct? Now, what is whose theta? Okay, theta is the arctangent of negative 3 over 5. So if I use the inverse, the tangent of theta is negative 3 over 5. Okay. Now, here comes the problem. You have a negative. Now, what did you learn in Algebra 1? This negative could be negative 3 over 5, or could be positive 3 over negative 5. So this is the situation you have. You don't know who's the negative. This is, oh my gosh. Okay, I don't know who's the negative, so I'm going to have two answers, this or this. Now, what is the definition of tangent? Tangent is opposite over adjacent. Okay, so the opposite could be 3 or negative 3, the adjacent could be 5 or negative 5. That's my problem. Remember, in the previous problems we solved before spring break, you can have a negative coordinate here. So for instance, when the opposite is negative 3, you have here negative 3 and then a positive 5. So you have this triangle right here, correct? This is negative 3, positive 5, correct? So we're going to have an angle this big, okay? What is the other situation? My situation is when the opposite is 3 and the adjacent is negative 5. So you're going to have now negative 5 and positive 3. So I'm going to have this triangle. So I'm going to have this angle only. So I don't know what situation I have. This is negative 3, 5, or this is negative 5, 3. But what is by sure is this is positive. The hypotenuse is always positive. So what I'm going to do is this, okay? I'm going to do my adjacent negative 3, positive 5. So c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So no matter what is the problem, I have 5 squared plus 3 squared. Positive or negative could be. So this is 25 plus 9, 34. So my hypotenuse is a square root of 34. This is always positive, okay? A square root of 34. Always positive. So I'm going to do then my triangles. Secant of theta is, okay? The secant is defined hypotenuse by adjacent. Secant is hypotenuse by adjacent. So, well, no problem here. The hypotenuse is always a square root of 34. No problem. The adjacent could be 5 or negative 5, you see? So I'm going to have two answers. First answer is with positive 5, or second answer is going to be with negative 5. So my problem is going to be secant of the arctangent of negative 3 over 5 is positive negative over 34. Okay? So everybody, with this, secant of the arctangent of negative 3, 5 is going to have two values. So because this is the situation, because the legs can be positive or negative, I have two situations, so I may have two answers. I need to know an extra condition to determine which one of these two triangles is going to be the one. Okay? So it could be this one, or could be this one. Everybody catch the idea? The procedure is the same. No things. Kevin Costillo, otra vez. Let me see. Again. Let me just do the last one, same, and we cut here and we continue tomorrow, okay?
¿Ya la misma hora?
Una hora, okay. We're going to do like 45 minutes every class, okay? It's not going to be long. Okay.
Mr. Ramírez.
Oh my God.
¿Todo va a ser a la misma hora?
Yeah, 1:30.
Okay.
Because we were at 8:30, but nobody was alive by 8:30.
Yo sí.
Well, just a few.
Yo sí, pero yo tenía clase.
Just a few. Okay? Okay, let me just erase this one and do the last example. So I have, let me see. The tangent of the arcsine of negative 3 over 4. Okay? So again, I have to solve this composition. Okay. Right triangle, theta. So I need to find the tangent of theta. Tangent of theta. Theta is arcsine of negative 3 over 4. If I use the inverse, I find that sine theta is negative 3 over 4. Okay. Definition of sine. Opposite over hypotenuse, correct? Now, here is the point. The hypotenuse always is positive, cannot be negative. So this ratio is going to be negative 3 over 4, correct? No way out. The hypotenuse cannot be negative, always positive, because it's the length of this triangle, correct? This is the hypotenuse. So this has to be 4, and the opposite is going to be negative 3. So really, this triangle is upside down, okay? It's negative 3, correct? So this is the angle I'm going to find, okay? So this is the triangle is negative 3. Okay. I want to find the leg. C squared equals A squared plus B squared. Okay. 4 squared equals A squared plus negative 3 squared. Now you have A squared equals 16 minus 9. How much is 16 minus 9? 7. A equals the square root of 7. So you found that this is the square root of 7, correct?
Yeah, so she looked.
Any question here?
No.
Okay. Stephanie Gonzalez. Let me see this. Okay. Now, what is the definition of tangent, Alexander? Alexander Gomez, what is the definition of tangent? Opposite over?
Wait. Otra vez.
What is the definition of tangent? Opposite over?
Adjacent.
Adjacent, there you go.
Adjacent, correct.
Only because I already told you.
From this triangle, who's the opposite? Negative 3, correct? Is the orange Who's the adjacent? The square root of 7. The square root of 7. So, I solve my problem. The tangent of the arcsine, the tangent of the arc sine of negative 3 over 4 is negative 3 square root of 7. That's my answer. Okay? So this is very boring because I'm repeating again and again the same procedure with the same triangles. So I need you, in some minutes you have after this, practice with the homework problems, please. Remember, that's a grade, okay? So this can be seen. I'm going to save this video and I'm going to upload in the Google and the YouTube channel, and then you can repeat this problem.
Okay, está bien.
Bueno,
Okay.
no questions?
No.
No.
Okay, guys, see you tomorrow. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to solve with
Vale.
variables. Now here variables. Okay, take care.
Okay.
See you
Está bien.
tomorrow.
You too.
Be safe.
Adiós.
A mí esto quiere un modelo.